Do you wonder if others are dealing with the same project management challenges as you? Not sure where to turn for guidance and leadership? Office hours are in session as we discuss project management and PMOs with global leaders, hearing their story and learning their secrets to success. Our goal is to empower you and help you elevate your PMO and project management career to new heights. Welcome back to Project Management Office Hours with your host, PMO Joe.
Welcome, everyone, to Project Management Office Hours. We're the #1 live project management radio show in the U.S., broadcasting to you today from the Phoenix Business RadioX studios in Tempe, Arizona. I'm your host, PMO Joe, and for the next hour, we'll be talking project management. Before we dig into the show with our special guest, just a few announcements. I'd like to thank the Northern Utah PMI chapter. They hosted me yesterday for a lunch session as we talked about the purpose-driven PMO framework, and that was a good chat, so I appreciate that. Also, some upcoming sessions. October 24th, I'll be speaking at the North Alabama PMI chapter Professional Development Day, PDD. October 26th, the PMO Global Awards Conference kicks off. On November 13th, I have a doubleheader, Pittsburgh PMI chapter's Professional Development Day, and a session with Wichita State University. And we're getting closer to Veterans Day here in the U.S., and as you all know, I support veterans and am co-founder of the nonprofit organization VPMMA. We'll be holding our fall fundraiser the week of November 7th. We have a series of events planned, and you can go out to www.thevpmma.org to learn how you can participate in our Run Walk fundraiser, or, of course, to be a mentor to help our veterans transition into civilian project management careers. Also want to thank our sponsor, the PMO Squad. They're home of the purpose-driven PMO. Visit thepmosquad.com to learn how they can support your project management team and help you get your PMO stood up, improved, or headed in the right direction. Also, finally, a reminder to everyone to visit projectmanagementofficehours.com to see the list of all of our upcoming episodes and check out all of our past episodes. Be sure to subscribe and catch all of the different podcasts as they come out. So for today, I am super excited to have one of the superstars in our community. Peter Taylor is joining us live from the UK. Welcome, Peter. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
For those who don't know, Peter is one of the finalists for the PMO Influencer of the Year. He's made it into great company, into the top 3. So the PMO Global Awards Conference I had mentioned just a moment ago, they'll be announcing the winner of that. So good luck to you, Peter. Hopefully you bring that home. If you can, just take a moment here to introduce yourself to the listeners.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And it's great to be here. And I have absolutely no idea how I got to be one of the finalists for PMO Influencer of the Year, but I must have been doing something right. I guess. Yeah. Who am I? What am I? I'm a project manager. That's the main thing. I'm a project manager, and I have been for an awful long time. It's been an amazing journey. But about 11 years ago now, actually, I had the opportunity to write a book, and I had this idea of a concept what I refer to as productive laziness, which is where the idea of the lazy project manager came from. That book that was launched then, and which is still a big seller. It's a #1 on Amazon for a while. It kind of launched a kind of parallel career for me. So on one hand, I work with organizations. I guide PMO development. I've headed up some of the largest PMOs in the world over the last 15 years. On the other hand, I'm a well-traveled, up until this year, of course, a well-traveled professional speaker, author, consultant, coach, blah, 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 all those things. I've had the joy of traveling to 25 countries so far and talking to many thousands of people around the world. And that's kind of me. But at the heart of it all, it's project management. It's project management.
Well, and that's why we're here, right? So let's talk project management and dig in maybe a little deeper on the book, right? I think maybe it's the curse and the blessing, right? It's kind of like that actor who gets in that role that everybody knows them, and the rest of their career, they're never the new role, right? They'll always be the same character. Does everybody now think you're just the lazy PM guy? Is that it's a blessing to be able to be so popular because of that book.
But it's not a curse, that's for sure. I mean, within a few years of writing the book, I mean, it's a small book. It's only 30,000 words.
And we're hardworking people, right? I mean, I always find the contradiction in your book title, right? It's the lazy PM, but where PMs are really working hard, right? I mean, there's a lot of stress. We're trying to put strategic objectives through. How did you come up with the title, or why are you using lazy in that context?
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever you do something, you want it to be eye-catching. So let's talk about the essence of the book. The essence of the book is about working smarter, not harder. It's what I call productive laziness. It's efficient ways of working. And it came from at that point, I was running a PMO. I had over 100 project managers in 17 countries working for the PMO. And I noticed something. I noticed half of them were working efficiently, and they were doing, on average, normal working hours, normal working weeks. I mean, projects go up and down. We know they're not flat. That's what makes them fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But on average, they were doing like 40, 45-hour weeks. And they were being reasonably successful. The other half were working crazy hours, 60, 70, 80 hours. And they were being no more successful. And I did some behavioral analysis between the two groups. What were they doing differently? And it came down to, if you like, this what I called the smarter project managers, who became what I called the lazy project managers. They were efficiently using their time. They were efficiently delegating to their team members. They weren't getting involved in every meeting, every conversation, every decision. All the mistakes I made when I was a young project manager, for sure.
Yeah.
And it just gave me this idea, and the two things came together. And actually, my boss, I thought my boss liked me, but he called me lazy one day. He says, the laziest person I know. And I realized after some reflection that he was being complimentary. I was upset to start with, to be honest. But I realized it all came together. Suddenly, whoa, the lazy project manager, insult your profession and get on. And the rest is history. The rest is history, Thousands of copies of the book sold. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it is a brilliant concept. And the point of working smarter, not harder is really the core of project management itself. We're trying to influence and motivate teams to get work done. We shouldn't be working hard to do that. We should be getting the team to be efficient in doing that. So I just think it's a brilliant idea, but also we don't want to get lost in the title of what's in the book, right? I mean, the book is a great concept.
And, it is one of those things. I must admit, lazy hasn't worked in some areas of the world. I mean, lazy, particularly the Asian market just can't get past the concept. This is you've got to get past the lazy thing, and it's not seen. And the book and the trainings and presentations have been rebranded in certain areas, but the essence is there. It's catching people's attention, and then get into the book. And it's about how you should be effectively being a project manager, and working with your team, guiding them, leading them, and not getting buried in the detail, which I see so many young project managers doing. They're so keen to be successful. They get down in the detail so much, and they forget to be project leaders.
We're talking about books, and you spearheaded another book initiative this year, which I had the good fortune to participate in. The Projectless Project Manager, I think was the title of that. Share a little bit about that. I mean, that was fun, right? Obviously, you were at the core of it, so you had more fun with it maybe than I did.
I did. I had a lot of fun. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, it was. So when all this kicked off, when the world was going into lockdown, when I was seeing a lot of. I'm big on LinkedIn. So anybody out there wants to connect to me on LinkedIn, send a connection. But I was seeing a lot of comments from project managers who were talking about losing their jobs, projects being delayed, furloughed at home, all that kind of stuff. And I was trying to think, what could we do that would be interesting? And a couple of people had talked to me about some ideas they had. And then I don't know, I woke up one weekend and I thought, you know what? I have the means now to publish a book. I've learned the ways of self-publishing and the art of it and how you can do it. So I came up with this idea of producing a book in 21 days. And I just wrote a simple brief for LinkedIn on that Monday. I put out there, anybody interested in contributing. I put a little profile together, as which is 500 words. It's got to be in by this date. It was a very, very strict time frame. I had over 100 people said they were really interested from all over the world. I had about 80 submissions in the end, and I used 56 of those in the book. We basically got all the content, did the editing. And then, I know there were some typos, and we've corrected most of those now. We got it out there. I even ran a competition for parents of project managers who were parents to get their kids to design the cover. So it's it is the most unusual cover for a project management book ever. I love it. And we did it. We got it published in 21 days up through Amazon. You can go and get it on Kindle, and you can go and get it in pretty format. And I'm so proud about it. It's an amazing thing. And I thank you, and I thank all the other 55 people who gave me great insights and great thoughts to include in the book.
And that's what I like about it, right, is the fact that it's not just one person's perspective. It's almost an industry speaking back to all of us, right? And for those who haven't gotten a copy of that yet, I certainly recommend you go out and pick one up. It's great to see a project management community use project management practices to have scope, deadline, timeline, right, and to execute against all those steps. It was fun, right? A lot of the stuff in there is informative, but it isn't a serious project that's life and death on the line or millions of dollars, right? It's just a way for the community.
No, but there are some real, we broke it down into kind of like, lockdown inspiration and legacy ideas, if you like, for people. And, I sum it up at the end of the book, is the fact that, 56 people came together. Most of them didn't know each other. We produced something of value in 21 days. As a global community in our millions, just imagine what we are truly capable of if we came together with a single focus, with a single objective. I was very proud of what we achieved.
Well, and that's, you had earlier said, hey, you're not sure why you're one of the top 15 PMO influencers. Well, it's initiatives like that, right? And putting that book together for the community. So again, thanks for doing that and being the light, right? The beacon driving all of us to do that. That was an awesome thing. The lazy project manager, like you said, over a decade ago, and what is going on? Well, actually, before I go into that, I just want to go back. You had talked about the books. You have a seminar coming up, correct, with Rick Morris, I believe, on how to kind of do this book authoring and self-publishing. Tell us a little bit about that.
So there's a free webinar. It's out there on Eventbrite right now. Or if people want to reach out to me, I'll send them the link. When we did the 21-day challenge, the Project List Manager, a couple of people were really proud. They came back to me and they said, "This is amazing. I'm published. I never thought this was possible." And I talked to a couple of them and said, "Well, I started by just commenting on stuff and then blogging and then writing some articles and then eventually evolved into books." And I thought, well, Rick Morris and I have worked together in the past, and I know he's done some great books as well. He's a great speaker. And so I reached out to Rick and I said, well, look, why don't we have a chat and let just an open conversation between Rick and myself. Let's just share our experiences. How did you get published? Because there's many ways to get published: traditional, shared risk, self-publishing, and others. And I said, why don't we just have a chat? We'll have people listening in. They can ask some questions, and we just talk it through. And if we can inspire one or two of them to maybe write the next lazy project manager, then hell, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I love the idea, and I think I actually am probably going to sign up myself. I've got 2 books in process. I'm slightly behind schedule on one of them. Purpose-driven PMO I had promised would be out this year. Might not happen, but we'll see. And what was refreshing yesterday at the Northern Utah chapter is that when I finished the presentation, we had Q&A afterwards, and somebody said, "You should write a book on this." And I said, "That's great you said that, because I actually am in process of writing one. So at least I'll have one person out there who want to buy the book."
Listen, I was late on my last. Well, it wasn't truly late because they have, the publishers have a hell of a backlog right now. But it was due in July, and with the whole lockdown thing, I just suddenly had too much time. And I find myself less productive the more time I have, and I kind of have to create pressures to myself to actually do it. And we shut it down, and I got the final version submitted a couple of weeks ago, so we're good. It's in production now, so I'm now thinking about the next book or two.
That's fantastic. Project management, obviously, in this COVID world, is evolving, and it's the project economy from PMI is trying to change their landscape, and we have so many other organizations that are trying to become prominent in the project management world. What excites you these days, right? What's kind of got your attention in project management?
Yeah, I think 2 things, and they're both kind of technology-led. well, one is a kind of a subset of the other. I mean, AI for me is so exciting. I've started talking about AI. There's many layers to AI. There's the whole, process automation. There's the chat bots. There's machine learning, and there's the autonomous project manager, which is the kind of scary Terminator thing, which just doesn't exist at the moment, and not going to exist for the foreseeable future. But the whole drive of AI, I think, is amazing because we have to be honest as project managers. There's stuff that doesn't really excite us that much. There's a tedious reporting, analytics, and stuff that goes on. And the reason I'm excited about it is because, I started out as an accidental project manager, and I reflected on why I was even successful. Since I had no idea. It was 8 years before I actually went on a training course to become, understand project management. But somehow I managed to survive. And it's because I only could focus on the people. And the people are critical. Projects are about people. They're not about process, blah, 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 blah. So AI coming in there and the stuff that is possible or going to be possible very soon about, the kind of trigger analytics, the kind of support model, taking away the boring stuff from project managers is just going to be so exciting. And one particular aspect that I'm really focused on is the project team performance analytics or project team performance management. And I'm working with one company specifically on that as an expert advisor, because this is a focus on project team alignment. So exactly as you said, you talked about, the PMI and the project economy and the fact that more and more stuff out there is going to be project-based inside organizations. Well, we've done so much around the process, but now there's an opportunity to actually do stuff about the team. How are the team truly feeling? And I don't mean an end of project retrospectives activity. I mean, do those for sure. But I'm talking about in the moment, pulse, nudges, alerts, all that kind of stuff that really shows through the kind of AI analytics and algorithms what the mood of the team is. And it's the whole, team building, the Bruce Tuckman model, the forming, storming, norming, performing. Teams are so dynamic in projects that sort of support for a project manager about really how your team are performing, how they're feeling, how they're aligned, are they collaborating, do they have a single purpose? It's just all of that, as you can tell, is so exciting. And I think, I've been saying it for years, now is the best time to be in project management.
Yeah. No matter what my presentation is, I always start within the first couple slides. I have a trend chart from the pulse of the profession that shows for the past decade, our industry's performance has been flat. Right? We've got more project managers. We've increased the investment we've made in technology. We have more certifications. We have agile and traditional and different methodologies we use. But all of that investment, we still stink, right? We still only hit about 50% success on projects. And why is that the case? I'm right with you. It's people, right? We're not investing in how to be leaders, right? We're just executing the steps of, the checklist of doing a project. We haven't taught our project managers to be leaders. And I think what you're talking about here is really hitting on something that I'm passionate about as well, to get people to motivate and to influence and know when someone's having a bad day and not be able to push them and to how to interact with people.
And he's significantly more important now. I mean, it was already becoming more important because of the virtualization, the globalization of projects, extent of scale of resources. I mean, my first project, I had everybody in one building. I could go get my entire project team and talk to them. That doesn't happen these days, and that has only been accelerated through the whole COVID situation. The kind of even more of the remote working and projects starting where project team members just are never going to meet in a physical way.
So if we think about people listening now, hopefully we didn't drop them all when we had our technology challenges at the beginning, but they'll play the podcast back anyway. Yeah. If you're a new project manager out there, and you're on this topic, right, about how we need to work with people better, what's your best advice for them? How do you help steer them in the right path?
I think first thing is awareness, and that's one of the things that's why I've been talking about it so much. Making people aware of it. I mean, I've always said if you're a green bean, if you're a new project manager coming on board, I mean, it's really important for you to try and find, if you like, a safe haven to play in to start with, to to get to understand stuff. And I think that's one of the powers of PMOs, that they really can nurture new project managers and give them that kind of support network. And I think, having a mentor or a coach out there is brilliant as well. And, that would, for me, would be a call to action for, all the old, older project managers, mature project managers out there is, your job is not just delivering your projects. Your job is to think about the next generation and to reach out to that. And, I know projects are tough, and I know it takes a whole bunch of your time, but we need to think about the next generation and the generation after that, the young kids coming in. So I think anybody who's starting out in project management, one, grab the community that's out there. It's huge. I mean, we've got stuff like, your great show. We've got books, they've got blogs, they've got conferences online. I mean, there's so much online now. You can connect to pretty much anybody in the world of project management through tools like LinkedIn. Don't be shy. Reach out there, connect to people, find those people that are going to help you and influence you being successful. And inside the organization you're working for, what is that safe haven? What is that support network? Go and find it. Go and talk to the PMO. Go and find yourself a buddy or a mentor or whatever.
Yeah, we had Priya Patra on our last show, and she was talking about Priya. The different communities she's building, right? Getting the PMI chapters from around the world to engage with one another, and how her career, she was a more quiet, reserved leader, and she attended some sessions within her own organization where they had a project management community, and she's come out of her shell, right? She's not quiet anymore. And that's where you can really benefit from that. Bill Dow, yesterday I was chatting with him, and he had also talked about within PMOs he now creates stuff like buddy systems, right? Where it pairs the junior PM with a senior PM.
Brilliant.
Any sort of, for the PMO leader that's out there, right, who may not really have had any training on how to lead a department or run a function. They may have been a good project manager, got promoted, and now they're like, oh no, what do I do?
Yeah.
What's some guidance for them on how to lead their team and get this sort of mentoring and community building concept going?
Yeah, I think it's one of the areas that I do. I do training, I do coaching of PMO leaders in, because it's not an uncommon situation for people to be in. Despite the fact that PMOs have been around for a long time, there's still many organizations that are just building their very first PMO. I did that book, The Leading Successful PMOs, and I researched what made for a good leader. At the heart of it is that it's someone who's, you've got to be passionate about projects. You've got to have a project background of some form. You've got to have that understanding that projects are just different. On top of that, you've got to be a great communicator, a great negotiator, and fundamentally, you've got to not be afraid to be different, to be unique. One of the mistakes I see in PMOs is someone tries to take a PMO and just like a standard model and shove it into an organization. It's not going to work. Every PMO that is different. Every PMO needs to be subtly different for the organization's need at this point, and it needs to be flexible for changes that are coming in the very near future as well. So I think get help if there's some great communities out there. There are people like me that will coach and guide you, etc. I think that's really important. Going kind of back to your previous point, if I may, what else? It's kind of what else can all PMO leaders do? Yeah, they can help run the support system for new project managers, but I see a huge increase in what I call the informal project managers. This is a community. So if you imagine you've got an organization, you got your business as usual at the lower level. This is stuff that your organization just does. Yeah. It's why you exist. And then you've got your project managers, projects as projects. These are dedicated, high risk, challenging things that you need a project manager, professional project manager for. Well, in the middle, there's something I call projects as usual. This is where people in business are being asked to deliver smaller changes, lower risk changes as part of their day job. And that I see as a massive growing community. And I would argue and request that every PMO leader reaches out to this group and offers some guidance. They do not need your methodology. They do not need your standards, your tools, or anything like that. They need some guidance, some basics. And project management for non-project managers. And I think that's, again, what are you going to get? You're going to get great supporters of your PMO. You're going to get great future project managers, perhaps. You're going to get less disruption inside the organization because of small changes going wrong. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was one of them, right? I talked to, I don't know, this is show 65 or 66. We've had over 100 different guests on the show, and I bet the majority of them started out as an accidental project manager. I was running a project, was not in a role of a project manager. My boss said, "Hey, how's the project going, Joe?" And I said, "The what? I have no idea what you're talking about." But that initial conversation led to now a career in project management. And I think you're right. I mean, the amount of work that happens in organizations can't be managed all out of a PMO, right? It's just impossible. So how do we help those people be successful and help the organization be successful? Ultimately, that's the goal.
I don't know if you've done it, but I mean, it'd be fascinating for you to go and reach out to, one or two of the young project managers of the year out there. Whether it be PMI or the IPMA, the young crew of some amazing people. You just listen to them talking about project management and the passion they have. I fell into it and I kind of grew, my passion grew. But these people, they want to be project managers. They're intentional project managers. They're crazy.
Yeah, I'm about to say they're the crazy ones.
They see this as a career or a career step. And trust me, you can have some conversation with them and it will be incredibly insightful.
Yeah, and we're on video here, so you and I have a bit of gray in our beard. So we've been around the block a couple times, but we've got Billy Mwape coming on our first show next year. Out of Zambia. And Billy's one of those guys, right? He is high energy, ready to go, loves project management. And I'm super excited for that talk, just to see what's his view, right? What's his view of the world? It's different than ours, and I enjoy that.
That's the book. We may not be able to mention the title. It's the big pink book that was the project management. It's all blank, blank, blank. I wrote that with a lady called Susie Palmer-True, and she is astonishingly, exhaustingly passionate about change. And I wrote it with her because I really wanted to be challenged. I was kind of thinking, I don't know, can I write any more books? And have I said it all? And then we met up at a conference in Athens, and she was just so stimulating and energy and just all of it. And it was just an amazing experience writing. And, I was kind of challenged to project management to sort yourself out and go get back to the real important stuff. Yeah,
I'm one of the roles I've taken on this year is managing director of the PMO Global Survey, right? And as you've talked a couple times about research. We had our first survey come out this year, and we'll be publishing the results later in the year. But we asked about, one, do you have a coach? And the numbers are really, really low for PMO leaders who have a coach. We asked what their role was before becoming a PMO leader. And the great majority were project managers who got promoted into the role. And then we ask how many of you are work within the accidental project management role within your community or within your organization. And everyone has accidental project managers, and very few of them work with them. So a lot of the topics that you've hit on today, we'll be coming out with some data to support all of your own personal research and findings on these topics, that this is the wave of the future, right? I mean, project management and the project economy is going to put the spotlight on the folks who are doing these accidental projects, or as you call them, projects as usual.
Projects as usual, yeah.
We've got to give them the tools, right, to help them be successful, but without inundating them, right? We don't want to smother them. You don't want to bury them
stuff because that would just kill them. You need the lightest of light, the 5 or 6 or 7 really critical things they need to be doing and thinking about.
And I think back to when you and I were a little bit younger in our career, right, when there would be shadow IT departments, right? The guy in the marketing department who had a server under his desk and wanted to get his communications out, and IT departments would always work to shut them down, or the folks who had their own personal phone that they were getting emails on, right? And now who doesn't have their own personal phone they're getting work emails on, right? It's the evolution of our industry to be able to do this.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I saw a great thing yesterday, actually. 20 years ago, what do we have? It's got the old record player and the old sort of phone and all the old equipment. It's like a mountain around this guy. It's like, it's now here. It's all in our hand there. Oh, I just turned the light on. That was impressive. But yeah, it's just, the power at our fingertips. And that's why I go back to AI. You're going to, as a project manager, you're going to be walking around with one of these things. And it's going to be alerting you. It's going to give you predictive analysis of how your projects are going and who you should be talking to and what you should be looking at. And it'll allow you to spend the time with the people to make it even more successful, to kind of raise those levels you talked about, the 50% success rates climbing. They're going to climb.
Are there any specific AI things that you can talk about this time that kind of have you jazzed more than something else? What's, kind of what is your vision of where AI is going to really make the most impact?
Well, I think it's all those levels. If you like, it's already started the process automation, automating some of the tasks that you need to do. The chat box are going to be appearing everywhere. Then, the little help that's going to pop up and suggest stuff and guide you on stuff and say you should be looking over there. The kind of management by exception is going to grow, and that's going to be in all areas of project management, from start to finish. And then, the one I'm really putting all my personal effort in is this whole team alignment thing. And it's just, that to me just seems to be one of the really significant things. We spent all of our time. We have a lot of data on, where is the project, what status is it at, the budgetary stuff, the task completion, all that kind of stuff. Really important. But we have very little data on how the people feel. What's the mood? What's the sentiment of the team? Do they care? Do they not care? Are they talking to each other? Are they collaborating? Or are they just grudgingly cooperating? Or that kind of stuff. And I think that, that for me is just mind-blowingly exciting. And it's not Big Brother. It's not that. It's truly gain the insight. And I've seen it. I've run so many, Zoom and team webinars and stuff recently. And I use a tool called Menti which is just a brilliant tool for getting insight and comment from people and polls and quizzes and stuff like that. And I've just seen that when people don't have to necessarily raise their voice or raise their hand, they're contributing. And this is the power of the many. This is the power of the hive mind. This is the collective objective and all those great terms that are out there. And I could talk for another hour on that. But it is bringing people together with a common purpose.
So what do you say to the naysayers that say, that stuff's all soft skill, fluff stuff. That's just people stuff, doesn't belong in the project management community?
Get the hell out of project management. Seriously, get the hell out. Listen, if you don't like people, if you don't think people are that critical to project management success, then go find something else to do. No, it isn't. It's critical. And the trouble is, I think, so many people have got so buried in the process, so buried in the methodology, so buried in the tracking and all of that. And it removes you from people, and you can look very busy doing that stuff. It doesn't deliver, I don't believe. It just doesn't deliver. You might have been lucky. I'm not saying people aren't lucky. Project managers, they can be lucky. They can have a success, another success, and nothing goes wrong. But as soon as they hit a real problem, then that's when it happens. And, I worked for an organization and we experimented with remote project managers, of low-end, small, almost repeatable projects of technology. And it worked. We could train these kind of graduates up, and it worked pretty well until there was a problem. As soon as it deviated from the workflow, they had nowhere to go, and that was the big problem.
Yeah, and I'm with you on this, right? We've had guests like Ruth Pierce and Dr. Barbara Troutline and Steve Fulmer and others who talk about the people side of. They don't even really call it project management, so say, but they're focused on people, right, and understanding the path. Or Carol Osterweel, another one out of the UK, right, talking about how the brain works and how to interact with people and how to be successful with those lines. And I think we have to explore, like I said, we've got to do something different if we want to get different results. Building a schedule is important, but getting the team members to actually do their work and be effective and enjoy what they're doing, it has to be more important, right? Every project only exists because of the people we have on them.
I'm sure you've seen it. If you've got a great team working together, they will overcome all the limitations of rubbish process, difficult deliverables, and all those stuff. I'm not saying we shouldn't make it as easy as possible and sort that out as well, but people will generally overcome all of these issues. And if they truly believe in what they're actually trying to do, the visibility of purpose, as I call it, if they believe in it, they will work hard to make it successful, and they'll overcome every obstacle possible. Now, yes, you should go back and go, well, let's not try and repeat that. That was difficult. Let's make it. It's eased away for the next project. All of that. But no, it's about people.
Yeah, and again, our signature service with the PMO squad is the purpose-driven PMO. So for us, it's the same thing, right? As you pointed out, every PMO in every company is going to be different, but you can build a framework around it that says the first step should be identify why you're different, right? What is your purpose? And once you have that and people adapt to it and buy into it, now you've got a motivated workforce.
Yeah, I talk about the balanced PMO, the 5 Ps. There's a lot of P's in our world. I know that.
I know. Too many.
And the 5 P's for me it's about people and process. It's about performance and promotion, about the project's information systems. And the first critical balance is the balance between people and process. If you spend too much time on process, you're the project police, and trust me, you will not be popular. People will not like you. It's a miserable place to be, because if you spend all your time on people, it's too soft and fluffy and not great. So you've got to get that balance right, and that's it's 2 of the 5 Ps are critical in the balanced PMO, I believe.
Yeah, and then throw in project and portfolio and program and all the other Ps. And we took it that way and said PMO now equals purpose, measure, optimize, right? If you define your purpose, you measure how well you're achieving it, and then you optimize to ensure you achieve it. We don't have to put the labels on of project and program or portfolio. I started joking about this, and maybe who knows when it comes true. I think we should be having an OMO out there, which is it is actually the sort of outcome management office. It's this whole measuring yourself on outcome and working back from that. Yeah,
and maybe we should forget all the P's at some point, because it is confusing. I know. So PMO can stand for projects mostly over budget. That's our joke, isn't it? That's our joke.
I love it. So we're in this new world, right? We're in the COVID world. Everybody's working differently. How have you been impacted by this, right? How have you adapted to this new normal, and what's different for you?
Yeah, well, my Delta Air Miles category is just plummeting. I'm just like, I'm going to be in luggage when I finally get on a plane again. I think, Yeah, I mean, I'd be honest. I mean, I had a whole bunch of stuff lined up. I'm fortunate in what I do, and I get invited to speak at businesses and conferences. Come around April time, that just collapsed, scarily so for a period of time. It's rebuilt. It's climbing up again, but it's all virtual. Everything I'm doing is remote based. I've restructured my courses to be virtual, using kind of best practice of nothing more than an hour chunk, and break that hour down into short exercises, short discussions, short presentations, nice coffee breaks, etc. The conferences are all virtual, of course, as well. And I've started doing some kind of virtual coaching into organizations as well, remote coaching. You just, you learn to adapt. A bunch of it was like that anyway, but it's just all of it is like that now, and that's just a reality. And I think nobody's sure, are they? This is the problem. This is not like the financial crash of 2008, 2008, 2009, because pretty much we were back to normal within 6-9 months after that. This we just don't know. So all of those events that planners are thinking for 2021, they've no idea what to do. And I think even if we do go back. Even if we go back to conferences face-to-face, let's say from the middle to late part of next year, I think that's going to be the earliest possible. I think because of the advantage people have taken on bigger audiences connecting to these virtual conferences, I think every conference is going to have a mixture. I think, I might be invited out to go and do a keynote on stage in front of 300 people, but I'll probably be invited, it'll either be live recorded or whatever, or I'll be asked to do a virtual part of the conference as well. So we've all got to adapt. We've all got to adapt to this new world.
And I'm imagining, right, that the AI you're talking about in team performance, we're going to rely more on that, because this, I think it was probably around August when we stopped thinking that what we were in the middle of wasn't normal, and it became normal, right? So now we're in the new normal, and then next year I think becomes even another new normal, because people are going to be like, oh no, I thought it was going to end in December. You mean we got to do this again this year? I think that AI stuff's going to be so important, right? Because then we're going to be able to start benefiting from over a year's worth of information and data of how to work this way.
Oh God, yeah, I think so. It's huge. I think it's going to be really huge, and I'd love to talk to anybody about it. And if you're into team performance, then contact me and we can have a great conversation about it. So I think it is, and I think it's Yeah, as you say, we're in gradual phases of new normal, etc. We've dealt with the black swan, and it's just cool. Yeah, it's disrupted our lives. But actually, by our very nature, we will want to get back to some resemblance of what we used to do. And we have to get on with life. We have to get on with business, and we have to get on with projects. And there's going to be lots of projects out there. So yeah, take every advantage you possibly can.
You had mentioned earlier there's, I think you said, was it 19 books that you've authored so far?
Yeah, well, number 20 is in manuscript. Yeah, it's just gone.
20 is almost ready. So if you were to advise PMs out there on here's my library or catalog of work, what would be kind of the number one that you'd pick out for them? And then some follow-on. Obviously, you think they're all great because you wrote them, and they are.
They're all fantastic. I'm going to mention 3 because I'm just going to ignore your guidelines. I mean, Lazy Project Manager at heart is the oldest, it's the best, it's the one that talks about project management. If you want to talk about PMOs, it's Leading Successful PMOs. And if you just want to have some enjoyment in project management, then there's a book called The Project Manager Who Smiled, which is a book on project management fun. And of course, the 21-day challenge, Project List Manager, that's 4. I'm greedy.
Well, and so what's the new one? I don't know if you can. It's
called Business Agility. It's actually, I didn't predict the crazy times you were in, but recognizing that organizations are operating in a completely different way, the successful ones. It's around business agility. It's around about kind of having that flexibility of performance and structure to survive in the new project economy. So, yeah, I mean, it's got a twist about the new normal in it. That's absolutely sure. And it's kind of like a little bit of good timing. So, yeah, it's out there, and I guess it will be published in the early part of 2021.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit with one here that we hadn't talked about in advance. But as a PMO Influencer of the Year, you have a lot of people within our industry that are looking up to you and the work you're doing. But who do you kind of follow or collaborate with as your influences that help you shape your kind of your vision and your direction?
There's just a lot. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to what I say to people is don't be afraid to reach out to people. I've reached out to so many people, I mean, if I go back when I first started, Dr. Harold Kersner, really famous person out there in the world of project management. Frank Solardis, the guy who started the International Project Management Day. Yeah, and I've reached out to them, and they have given me their time, and so don't be afraid to do that. Be respectful of their time and their workloads, etc. Well, I get lots of people contact me. I don't think there is one person I can say, but I'm truly inspired whenever I go to one of the kind of young group meetings, the young project managers. It's just like, wow, I never had that. I was in my mid-30s when I joined. I became into project management. And I kind of grew to love it over a period of time. But the excitement and passion of these guys making conscious decisions to focus and study project management, as I said, either as their career or as a stepping stone, they're just amazing, and they always inspire me.
And I'll echo some of that. Right, we early on in our second season, I had just on a whim reached out to Dr. Kersner and said, hey, I run a project management radio show. Would you love to come on? Figuring I would never get an answer back. And he came on and did our show. And so honored to have him reach out, right? And that's what I found with a lot of people within our industry is we all really do want to help each other. Right. I think we live in a time where community, and I think it's actually enhanced now in this COVID world, that people just have that thirst to touch people again, right? And if they can't do it physically, they want to be able to do it emotionally.
So I agree. I have a magical memory. It was in London. I met Dr. Kersner for the first time. He had connected to me beforehand, and we exchanged books. Now, I wrote Lazy Project Manager, which is like that thick.
Right.
Kersner writes a book that I was like, that thick. And he kind of gave me his book, and I floated my book across, which he read on the plane on the way back to America. But we stayed in contact for many years, and it's great. If anybody wants to see my favorite presenter on project management, let me answer it that way. Is a guy called Stephen Carver in the UK. He's a lecturer at Cranfield School of Management, and he is just brilliant at the way he presents everything to do with change, everything to do with project management. I've seen him so many times. I've been on so many conferences with him, and I love it. Even when I see the same presentation he's done sometimes, there's something about him just I think is a magic. And there are so many others as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. That name came up last week. I was talking with somebody, and they had mentioned Stephen Carver as well. So,
there you go. Yeah, we love Stephen.
Yeah, that's a great. So, Project Management Global Award, the PMO Global Awards, again, that's coming up next week. I'm assuming that you've taped your session for that.
My sessions. Yes, so I've got. There's my keynote presentation, and then there's an interview. Rick Morris is doing like a talk show interview with me. Kind of like this, going all over the place.
Yeah.
And then there is a product-based one, which is around project team performance analytics for the company I'm working with. So I'm fortunate enough to have 3 sessions on it.
Any insights you can share about any of the sessions, just to draw people in, to let them know what to expect?
With Rick, Rick was just, as I said, a very open conversation about life, project management, our history, the experiences we've had, speaking, writing, all of that. The keynote is going to be very much focused on things that stuff we talked about today. Actually, it is about the informal project managers. It's about the project team performance analytics. It's about working with young project managers. Many things we've covered today. Actually, is in it. It's kind of like the PMO. It's the PMO past, present, but mostly future. So it's a little bit of history around my PMOs that I've run. Through various organizations like Siemens, Kronos, and IBM. And then it's a little bit about the current now situation, which we touched on a little bit today, and a little bit about the future, where it's going to go. And it is, kind of explores more the AI world, the project team analytics and stuff like that.
Well, that's awesome. I know I'm looking forward to your sessions and everybody else that's going to be out there. I think it's going to be fun. What I love, right, is every year they used to have this award ceremony over in London. So a lot of us couldn't get there, right? I mean, it just, your work schedule, whatever it may be, prevented it. But in this new COVID world we're living into, man, I'm hitting every conference I can, right? The ability to interact with people around the world has just made everything become so close. Everything's at our fingertips now. Encourage everybody to go out. Peter, thank you so much for being on the show today. Apologize for our technical challenges. I hope everybody stayed with us during that time, but it looks like it corrected itself, and we had a nice chat. Thank you so much for joining us.
I enjoyed it. Thank you very much again for inviting me, and hello to everybody out there.
What's the best way for folks to get in touch with you? And if you have anything coming up, the books or speaking sessions that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, well, you kind of touched on with Rick. If you go to the website, lazyprojectmanager.com, that's a great place to start. You can see I'm on LinkedIn, highly active on LinkedIn, pretty much daily postings out there. So you can always get stuff about what's going on there. And if you've got any questions or any particular interests, then just, drop me a note through the website or through LinkedIn, and I'll happily come back to you and, let's see what we can do.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Peter. And of course, thank you to all of our listeners. Be sure to visit projectmanagementofficehours.com. Check out all the great content out there and the listing of upcoming shows. Next up, we have Ben Aston joining us from Canada. Ben is the host of the Digital PM podcast. Follow that up with Jason Westland, founder of projectmanager.com. Cornelius Fichtner, host of the Project Management podcast. Karen Bondale will be joining us from Canada to finish out the year. And then, as I had mentioned earlier, we start next year with Billy Mwape out of Zambia. So really excited about our upcoming guests. We do want to send out a reminder that all of these shows are also recorded. So be sure to subscribe to Project Management Office Hours podcast on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, whatever your podcast platform of choice. And of course, thanks to our sponsor, the PMO Squad. Visit thepmosquad.com to learn more about the purpose-driven PMO. And that's it for now. Office hours are closed. Until next time, I'm PMO Joe, and you've been listening to Project Management Office Hours.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Project Management Office Hours with PMO Joe. You're not alone in your project management journey. We're here to help you achieve your goals. Subscribe to Project Management Office Hours on your favorite podcast platform to catch all of our episodes and hear industry leaders share their story and secrets to success.